Welcome to the Divorce Lawyers podcast, brought to you by DivorceLawyers.ca. I'm Deepa Taylor, your host for today's episode, where we dive into the complex world of family and divorce law in Ontario. Today, we'll be discussing a topic that impacts many separated and divorced families: support issues. Specifically, we'll be breaking down everything you need to know about child support, spousal support, and the potential legal complications that can arise. Remember, while I'll be providing general information, this podcast is not a substitute for legal advice. For personalized guidance, please consult one of our lawyers by visiting DivorceLawyers.ca. Support issues in divorce or separation cases often become one of the most contentious points between ex-partners. In Ontario, support typically refers to two types: child support and spousal support. Both are crucial in ensuring that, following a separation or divorce, financial fairness is maintained and the well-being of children is prioritized. Today, we'll cover the basics of each type of support, discuss some real-life cases, and explore the legal avenues available if you find yourself needing to enforce or challenge a support order. Let's begin with child support. Child support is the financial contribution one parent makes to another for the expenses associated with raising their child or children. In Ontario, the amount of child support is typically determined by the Federal Child Support Guidelines, which consider the paying parent's income and the number of children involved. But what happens if a parent fails to meet their child support obligations? There are legal mechanisms in place, such as the Family Responsibility Office, FRO, which enforces child support payments. The FRO can garnish wages, suspend driver's licenses, and even seize passports to ensure compliance. However, what if the parent genuinely cannot pay due to a significant change in financial circumstances? This brings us to the concept of a material change in circumstances. If, for example, the paying parent loses their job or suffers a substantial reduction in income, they may seek to have their child support payments reduced. However, it's not enough to simply claim that income has decreased. You must provide evidence to the court, typically through financial disclosure, that your financial situation has changed significantly. Let's consider a recent case that reached the Supreme Court of Canada. In this case, a father was ordered to pay a substantial amount in retroactive child support because he had failed to disclose his income over several years. This case highlights the importance of transparency and the legal consequences that can arise from failing to meet your obligations. Now let's shift our focus to spousal support. Spousal support, or alimony as it's sometimes known, is a financial obligation one spouse may have to the other, following a separation or divorce. Unlike child support, which is relatively straightforward, spousal support can be more complex and discretionary. The amount and duration of spousal support are influenced by several factors, including the length of the marriage, the roles each spouse played during the marriage, and each party's financial needs and abilities. The Spousal Support Advisory Guidelines provide a framework, but ultimately the courts have considerable discretion. Spousal support is designed to address economic disadvantages or disparities that arise from the breakdown of a marriage. For example, if one spouse sacrificed their career to care for children or support the other spouse's career, they might be entitled to spousal support to help them get back on their feet. But what happens if the paying spouse's financial situation changes after the divorce? Similar to child support, if there is a material change in circumstances, the paying spouse can apply to have the spousal support order varied. However, this process can be complex, and as we've seen in numerous cases, the courts take a detailed look at the evidence presented before making any adjustments. Enforcing support orders is another critical aspect of this discussion. The Family Responsibility Office, as mentioned earlier, plays a key role in ensuring support payments are made. However, the system isn't perfect, and sometimes recipients are left without the support they are entitled to due to non-compliance by the payer. If you're facing issues with receiving child or spousal support, there are steps you can take. First, make sure the support order is registered with the FRO. If the payer is failing to meet their obligations, the FRO can take enforcement action. For those on the paying side, if you're experiencing financial difficulties that make it impossible to pay the ordered amount, don't ignore the problem. Seek legal advice and consider applying to the court to have the amount reduced. It's also important to note that non-payment of support doesn't just affect the payer. It can have significant legal consequences, including damage to credit ratings, wage garnishments, and even jail time in extreme cases. This is why it's crucial to address any payment issues head-on, either through negotiation or legal channels. Let's take a moment to explore some common scenarios that many people face when dealing with support issues. What if your ex-partner moves in with someone new? Does that impact your spousal support obligations? Generally speaking, entering a new relationship doesn't automatically end your spousal support payments. However, in some cases, it may lead to a review of the support arrangement, especially if the new partner provides significant financial support. Or consider a situation where one parent is refusing to allow the other to see their child, yet the support payments continue. This is a challenging scenario and one that can be deeply frustrating. It's important to remember that child support and visitation rights are treated separately by the courts. If you're being denied access to your child, you need to address this issue legally, but it won't impact your obligation to pay child support. Now, let's move on to some questions from our listeners. Remember, while I can provide general information, it's always best to seek personalized advice from a lawyer. A question from a listener. My income has decreased significantly due to a slowdown at work. Will my child support payments remain the same? If you've experienced a genuine reduction in income, you might be eligible to have your child support payments reduced. However, you'll need to apply to the court and provide evidence of your changed financial circumstances. It's crucial to act promptly and not let arrears build up while waiting to resolve the issue. First question from another listener. My ex-partner is living with a new partner. Do I still have to pay spousal support? Typically, a new relationship doesn't automatically end spousal support obligations. However, if the new partner is providing significant financial support, it might be possible to revisit the spousal support arrangement. You'll likely need to go back to court to have the situation reassessed. Another question from a listener. I haven't seen my kids in months because my ex won't let me, but I'm still paying child support. What can I do? This is a tough situation, but it's important to remember that child support and visitation rights are separate issues. You can apply to the court to enforce your visitation rights, but this won't affect your child support obligations. It's essential to deal with both issues legally, possibly with the help of a lawyer. As we wrap up today's episode, it's clear that support issues are a complex and often emotional aspect of family law. Whether you're dealing with child support, spousal support, or enforcement challenges, it's important to understand your rights and obligations. The key takeaway is to be proactive. If your financial situation changes, seek legal advice and address the issue through the proper channels. Ignoring the problem will only make it worse. Finally, always remember that the goal of support payments is to ensure fairness and the well-being of children involved. It's not just about financial obligations, but about doing what's best for your family in the long term. Thank you for tuning in to the Divorce Lawyers podcast. If you have any further questions or need legal assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to us at DivorceLawyers.ca. We're here to help you navigate these challenging issues. Until next time, take care, and remember, knowledge is power when it comes to your rights and responsibilities in family law.